Bella had always believed that her husband, Dr. Leo Antonov, was a man of honor, purpose, and brilliance. At 49, Leo was one of Moscow's most respected cardiologists, a man who saved lives by day and came home quiet, thoughtful, sometimes burdened. Bella, a 38-year-old ICU nurse herself, admired the way he handled stress, but she often wondered about the growing distance between them. Every Friday night, Leo would kiss her softly on the forehead, pack a small leather bag, and drive 2 hours to their remote dacha in the countryside. "I need the solitude," he would say, with a smile that never quite reached his eyes. "It's the only place I can breathe." Bella never questioned him. After all, he worked tirelessly, and if the dacha gave him peace, she wouldn't take that away. But everything changed one cold November morning. The hospital's intercom crackled, summoning Code Blue to Operating Theater 3. Bella rushed in, only to find Leo. Her Leo collapsed on the floor, clutching his chest. She screamed for help, performing CPR with trembling hands, refusing to accept what was unfolding before her. But despite everything she did, Leo died there on the very floor he had once walked like a god. A cruel irony, the heart healer taken by a heart attack. The days that followed were a blur of grief and unanswered questions. Bella could not shake the feeling that something was deeply wrong. Leo's colleagues praised his legacy. The city held a memorial. But Bella was stuck on one detail: the bag he had taken to the dacha was never found. She remembered how often he'd come back, looking drained, distant, and paranoid, checking the windows, jumping at shadows. 3 months later, with the weight of sorrow still pressing down, Bella made a decision: she would sell the dacha and move forward. But she had to return one last time to gather his belongings and say goodbye. What she didn't know then was that Leo's death was not the end of his story. It was just the beginning of hers. Bella returned to the dacha on a gray, windswept morning 3 months after Leo's funeral. The long-forgotten dirt road leading to the small wooden house was choked with weeds and silence. As she parked, her chest tightened. This place, once Leo's sanctuary, now felt more like a mausoleum. She had come with one goal: to gather his things, lock up the past, and finally sell the property. But as she stepped onto the creaking porch, a voice behind her stopped her in her tracks. Bella set a gruff tone. She turned to see Dmitri, the weathered neighbor from down the path. He was older, late 60s, with sun-leathered skin and eyes that held too many secrets. "You shouldn't sell just yet." Bella blinked. "Why not?" He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Check the garage before you do anything. Leo was hiding something in there. I don't know what. But he'd go in late at night, always alone, stayed for hours. Whatever it was, he was scared." A chill rolled down Bella's spine. She tried to laugh it off, but the unease clawed deeper. Leo had always kept the garage locked. He claimed it was full of junk, warned her not to trip over tools. She had trusted him. Now she questioned everything. Dmitri looked at her grave. "You deserve to know the truth before you let this place go." In that moment, Bella's plan to pack up and move on unraveled. She realized that Leo's weekly retreats weren't just for peace, they were for secrecy. If something was buried in the garage, it might hold the answers she never got. Before we continue, tell us, would you open that garage? Type "yes" in the comments and subscribe to the channel if you want to see what Bella finds next. Back in the kitchen, she found Leo's old ring of keys, her hands trembling as she turned over the rusted metal. One key stood out, smaller, corroded, forgotten. The garage. Bella stepped outside again, heart pounding louder than the crunch of frost beneath her boots. The door moaned as she unlocked it. The air inside was stale, reeking of oil and memory. Her flashlight beam cut through the darkness. Shadows danced across shelves, tarps, and something hidden. She took a breath, stepped forward, and knew her husband's real story was buried in here. And it was time she uncovered it. Bella stood in front of the garage, the key trembling in her hand. The air was sharp, and the silence pressing in made every creak of the door feel thunderous. She turned the lock. It groaned in protest and slowly pushed the heavy door open. The musty scent of aged wood oil and cold metal flooded her senses. A wave of unease rippled through her chest as she stepped inside. The garage was meticulously arranged, not the chaotic tool dump Leo had always described. Shelves lined the walls, filled with neatly labeled boxes and old equipment. In the far corner sat a workbench, its surface covered by a thick gray tarp. Something about the order, the quiet obsession of it all, made her skin crawl. Bella moved slowly, shining her flashlight over boxes filled with unremarkable tools and fishing gear. But as she knelt by the lower shelf, her fingers brushed something different, a small locked metal box. Unlike everything else, this lock looked new, intentional. She hesitated. Then, remembering the bolt cutters hanging beside the bench, she made a decision. The lock snapped with a loud crack. Inside was a leather-bound notebook. On the first page, "For Bella. If you're reading this, I'm sorry." Her breath hitched. Her heart thudded painfully as she flipped through the pages. Leo had been keeping a journal, a confessional. He wrote of a patient named Viktor Komarov, who had died on his operating table 5 years ago, right when Leo started retreating here every weekend. Leo admitted fault, but the real fear came after. Victor's death had triggered something darker, threats from a criminal organization Victor was connected to. They believed Leo had taken a small chip during surgery, a chip that held secrets they would kill to retrieve. Bella's hands trembled as she turned page after page. The deeper she read, the clearer it became. Leo had been hiding this truth, this burden to protect her. But the weight of that secret had consumed him. She blinked through tears, stunned. He had lived in fear for 5 years, and now she was standing in the very space where that fear was buried. There was more. The journal hinted at a hidden compartment. Her eyes darted to the workbench again. The tarp, the odd plank of wood. She took a breath and moved toward it. This wasn't over. It had only just begun. Bella stared at the workbench, Leo's words from the journal echoing in her ears. "I've hidden the evidence in the garage. If they find it, Bella will never be safe." She yanked the tarp off the bench, revealing a scratched wooden surface worn by time and stress. Her fingers hovered for a moment. Then she noticed it, one plank along the bottom edge, slightly raised. Kneeling, she dug her nails into the seam and pulled. The board groaned, then gave way. Beneath it was a small metal safe plane, and dusty but solid. Her stomach tightened. There was no keyhole, just a 4-digit combination lock. She tried the first numbers that came to mind, their anniversary, 324. Nothing. Her birthday, Leo's, still locked. Then she remembered the date Victor had died 5 years ago, 2019. Her heart pounded as she punched it in. A soft click. The safe opened. Inside a USB drive, a bundle of photographs, and a folded letter addressed simply, "For Bella." With trembling hands, Bella opened the letter. Leo's handwriting was rushed, uneven. "If you're reading this, I'm likely gone. I never meant to drag you into this." Victor wasn't just a patient. He was a courier for something bigger, something criminal. During surgery, I found a microchip sewn inside him. I kept it thinking I could fix things. But I was wrong. They came after me, and I knew if I handed it over, you'd be next. I had to hide it. You must destroy it and run. Her fingers gripped the letter tighter. The USB and photos showed Leo meeting shadowy figures, men with dead eyes and cold hands. Each photo had dates, notes in the margins. It was surveillance, evidence. And then she saw it, a small plastic case nestled beneath the papers. The microchip. Her breath caught. Leo hadn't just hidden from danger, he had fought to protect her. But the storm he'd shielded her from was now hers to face. Outside, wind rattled the garage door. Bella held the chip in her palm, cold and delicate, unaware that her every move was being watched. She was no longer just grieving. She was now the keeper of a secret that could get her killed. And someone else knew she had it. As Bella stood in the garage, the microchip resting in her trembling hand, the air around her felt heavier, like even the shadows were holding their breath. Her heart thudded in her chest, too loud, too fast. Suddenly, she heard the crunch of tires on gravel outside. Headlights cut through the dusk like blades. Panic twisted her insides. The couple she had arranged to meet wasn't due until morning. Something was wrong. 2 men stepped out of the dark sedan. One tall and lean, the other broad, with arms like tree trunks. Their faces were obscured, but the threat in their slow, deliberate movements was unmistakable. Bella ducked behind the workbench, stuffing the chip USB and photos into her coat pocket. She barely made it inside the house before a hard knock rattled the door. "Bella Morozov," a voice called. "We need to talk." She froze. The voice was low calm, too calm. She didn't answer. Another knock louder. "We know what Leo was hiding. Don't make this difficult." Bella's grip tightened on her phone. Her first instinct was to call the police, but something stopped her. What if they were already watching them too? These weren't men who waited. They took. Say yes in the comments and subscribe if you think she should run right now. The window shattered. Bella screamed, ducking as shards flew. The front door burst open. The taller man entered, first gun drawn. "Where is it?" he demanded. "You have something that does not belong to you." "I don't know what you're talking about," Bella lied, backing away. The second man lunged, grabbing her wrist. She twisted, trying to break free, but he was too strong. "Tell us where the chip is." He growled, his breath hot with menace. Her eyes darted to the fireplace poker by the hearth. Her only chance. Her only weapon. As he yanked her closer, she stomped his foot, grabbed the poker, and swung. It connected with a sickening crack. He screamed, stumbling back. She didn't wait, just ran. She had to survive. Not just for herself. For Leo. For the truth. Because they weren't going to stop. And she had only just begun to fight. Bella's heart thundered in her chest as she darted through the night, the cold air slicing against her face. Behind her, the men's furious shouts grew louder. She had struck one of them with the fireplace poker and bought herself seconds, no more. The garage door slammed behind her as she ducked inside again, hoping to find something, anything to block their path. Her eyes scanned the space wildly. Then she saw a crowbar leaning against the wall. She wedged it between the door handles just as heavy fists pounded from the other side. Her breath came in ragged gasps. She knew it was only a matter of time before they broke through. Fumbling through her pocket, she pulled out the USB, her fingers numb and shaking. She had no idea what it contained, but Leo's final words in the letter rang in her ears. "If they find out you have this, run. No more time for tears. No more time for grief." Then headlights flashed again, closer this time. Another car, see, a trap. She braced herself. But instead of danger, she saw Dmitri burst through the back gate, shotgun in hand, eyes blazing. "Bella, down," he shouted. The garage door creaked. The crowbar groaned under pressure. Then silence. "Police are on their way," Dmitri growled toward the door. "This land isn't yours. Leave now or face what's coming." A tense beat passed. Then retreating footsteps. A car screeched into the night. Bella collapsed to her knees. "I found the chip," she whispered, pulling the tiny object from her pocket. "Leo was hiding this. He wasn't crazy. He was trying to protect me." Dmitri knelt beside her. "Whatever's on that chip, people have killed for less. Destroy it." But Bella hesitated. If Leo died keeping the truth buried, could she live burying it again? That night she didn't sleep. She sat at her old laptop in the dacha, the USB drive trembling in her fingers. As the files opened, names, bank transfers, blackmail dossiers, one thing became clear. This wasn't over. If you've made it this far, tell us in the comments, should Bella expose everything or stay silent forever? Type yes if you'd risk it all for the truth, and don't forget to subscribe to follow what happens next. The morning after felt surreal. Bella sat on the steps of the dacha, the broken microchip still scattered across the kitchen floor behind her. Police cars had come and gone, statements were taken, but no amount of official paperwork could sweep away the chaos of the night before. The chip had been destroyed, but its shadow lingered heavy, invisible, and deeply real. Bella stared out at the forest beyond the yard, the trees swaying gently in the wind like nothing had happened. The same trees Leo used to gaze at every Friday evening, saying they helped him think. She now understood what he had been thinking about, how to save her from a truth too dangerous to speak aloud. Dmitri returned that afternoon, not as the stoic neighbor, but as a quiet guardian. He handed her a sealed envelope Leo had given him months ago. For when the time comes. Inside was another letter. Leo had written, "If you're reading this, I trust you found the truth. I only ask one thing live without fear. Do what I couldn't." Bella folded the note, her mind already working. The documents on the USB could expose a network of criminals, but at what cost? Her story wasn't finished. It was just beginning. She stayed at the dacha for now, each day, peeling back more layers of Leo's past through his journals. There were names, places, connections enough to burn powerful people to the ground. But Bella had learned something deeper. Courage isn't about destroying the enemy. It's about surviving the truth and still choosing to love, to fight, to rebuild. So now, dear viewer, we ask you, what would you do if the person you loved left behind a secret that could change everything? Comment below your thoughts. And if you want to know what Bella chooses next, don't forget to subscribe. Her journey isn't over, not yet.